If you're familiar with the DSM-4 but not the DSM-5, some of what I just told you might seem new and counter to what you are familiar with from the DSM-4. So let's go over some of the changes from DSM-4 to DSM-5. DSM-5 eliminates separate subcategories on autism. This would be things like Asperger's syndrome, PPD, NOS, and replaces it with just the one diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. Two categories are used in the DSM-5, including social communication and impairment and restricted interest repetitive behaviors, instead of the three that existed in the DSM-4. In the DSM-4, at least 6 out of 12 deficits in social interaction, communication, or repetitive behaviors must have been present for the client to receive that autism spectrum diagnosis. In the DSM-5, only 3 deficits in social communication need to be present, and at least 2 symptoms in the category of restricted range of activities, repetitive behaviors. So these are those things that we talked about in the last slides, including hyper and hyporeactivity to sensory input, right? Symptoms can currently be present at the time of diagnosis, or they may have been reported in past history. This is something new in the DSM-5. DSM-5 adds also known genetic causes. For example, Fragile X syndrome and Rett syndrome, as well as levels of language and intellectual disability that are present, and medical conditions such as seizures, anxiety, depression, gastrointestinal problems that we know also contribute to autism spectrum disorder. They also added a new category in the DSM-5, social communication disorder, which allows for a diagnosis of disability in social communication without the presence of repetitive behaviors.